What's up, everybody? Now, I know that we've talked a little bit about my upbringing and my childhood, and you clearly can recognize that I'm super proud of being Latina, super orgullosa de mis raíces, but today I figured we'd dig a little deeper and really discuss what it was like for me growing up Latina. My mother is Puerto Rican and my father is Ecuadorian. Can you call my mom? I forgot what age my dad came to this country.
Hey, sorry, I can't take your call right now.
Why don't you call your dad and ask?
That's actually a better idea. So I know you guys have met my mom, but you've never met my dad before. I call him Papi Lindo. Calling, FaceTiming Papi Lindo. ¡Papi Lindo!
Mija linda, ¿cómo estás?
Háblame de la vida.
Eso.
Okay, my dad also doesn't speak English, that part. Papi,
Dígame.
diga hola a la gente. Este es mi YouTube channel, mi canal en YouTube.
Oh, ay, caramba, qué bueno.
Okay, mira, diga hola a la gente.
Hola, ¿cómo están todos ustedes? Felicidades.
Okay, that's my Papi Lindo. Okay, papi.
Ya.
Nosotros estamos hablando de cuando tú viniste a a los Estados Unidos, cuando tú viniste de Ecuador. ¿Cuándo fue eso?
Eso fue en el año 1969.
I'm sorry, 1900?
1969.
There we go. 1969. ¿Y cuántos años tú tenías cuando tú viniste aquí?
About 35 years.
So, papi, you were my age when you came to this country?
Yes.
Oh my, I can't even imagine what it would be like to uproot myself from the United States and move to a completely different country that speaks a completely different language.
And after the 8 years, I married.
After 8 years of being here, then you married mommy?
Yes.
Everyone knows me and my mom are super close, right? But are you ready for this? I am exactly like my father. I am his twin. We have the exact same face. My dad and I, we don't care about anything. My dad has such a youthful spirit, I can't even begin to explain that. So when I think about my dad coming to this country at 35 years old and just being fearless, going after his dreams, it sounds crazy, but I get it because you're just like me.
Yes.
Okay, I love you. I had a few questions.
Mi amor, gracias por llamar.
Mwah. So my dad came to this country when he was 35 years old, and he was singing at a nightclub in Flushing, New York, in Queens, and that's where he met my mom. My mom loved to go salsa dancing and cumbia dancing, and they met, and they fell in love, and they got married, and he was here with a work visa, but he did get his green card when he married my mom, so we were all legal, you know what I'm saying? Don't come for me, thank you. So here's the thing. We grew up only speaking Spanish in my home, and then I learned how to speak English in school and like from TV. But it was really important to us as a family that we be bilingual. Obviously, I had a Spanish-speaking father, although my mother spoke, oh my God. I clearly still can't speak English. Although my mother spoke English fluently, she speaks English perfectly. She was raised in New York City. So although she spoke English perfectly, that'd be really rude to like live in a household and like me and my kids are all speaking in English and my husband doesn't understand. And I really think it benefited us in life to speak Spanish. Technically, I was raised super Puerto Rican because that's the family that I grew up with, my mom's side of the family. And I think even my dad picked up Puerto Rican slang. So when I speak in Spanish, I speak like New Yorican Spanish. The Lower East Side of New York City was a melting pot when I was growing up. The majority of the Lower East Side in the 80s and the 90s was Black, Hispanic, Chinese, because we're super close to Chinatown, and Orthodox Jews. So I grew up with a pretty good mix. Like if there were 30 kids in a class, I would say 20 of them were Latinos, Puerto Rican, Dominican. 5 of them were Black and 5 of them were Chinese. And then all of our teachers were like Hasidic Jews or Orthodox Jews. We really loved the culture. I literally grew up in a building where we had a Sabbath elevator. Sundown on Fridays, the elevators would become Sabbath, meaning that all the numbers would be pressed, as it stopped on every single floor and it made them not have to press the button, which meant they weren't using electricity. We had the Bialystoker, like great food, and I think at some point, I learned about like Passover and we wanted to be a part of it. And I love that I had a mom that was so open-minded that she allowed us to do it. We lit candles, we read the passages from the Old Testament, and it was pretty awesome. As a Latino family, we definitely grew up with lots of celebrations. The only difference is that I grew up Pentecostal Latino, which is a whole other kind of situation. So I wasn't really allowed to listen to quote unquote like worldly music, but we definitely celebrated to like Christian music and coritos, alabaré, you know, tú me hiciste pentecostal de la cabeza a los pies, like all of those, like we jammed to Christian music. And probably my best childhood memories were Sundays after church. I lived literally directly across the street from the church that I grew up in, Primitive Christian Church. And after service on Sunday, all my whole family and like friends from church would come upstairs and my mom would cook dinner. And it was just so much fun. We never had alcohol in our house, so I never saw my parents drinking or anything like that. It just literally did not exist in my house. And I will never forget my dad hanging out with his buddies who were mechanics in Flushing Meadows in Queens. And he would go there and hang out with them. And I remember seeing my dad drink a beer for the first time, and I tripped out. I was bugging out, like crying and like, Papi, please don't drink a beer. Like, Jesus doesn't like that. And my dad was like, don't tell mommy, don't tell mommy. And literally I get home and I walk through the front door and my mom goes, she could just see it in my face. She's like, what happened? What's wrong? Daddy was drinking beer. He's going to hell. And like I went berserk. But that's how I was raised. We were raised Assemblies of God, Latino family. So a lot of people might be wondering if I ever had a quinceañera, and the answer is no. But it's not because I didn't want one. It's because I couldn't afford one. So I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate to that. You know, in some people's families, the quinceañeras are literally like a wedding, like straight up a boda. You need a DJ, a hall, dresses, gowns, and I just couldn't afford that growing up. And by the time I was 15, I was getting into 3LW. And right about that time, I was just starting to make a little something, but it still wasn't enough. So we just didn't have the time or the money to put my party together. So I did have like a small little family party where I did the first dance with my dad and all that good stuff, but it was definitely just us in our home with a few family friends. So I'm just putting this out there. This is not just my opinion. I know you guys hear me say, I think it's a Latina thing, but I got the stats. Latinas spend the most money in beauty, in the demographics. We also spend the most money on entertainment. I might not be able to pay my rent today, but I got the latest KKW beauty. No, I'm just kidding. But we definitely pride ourselves in our appearance. And I think that that's a beautiful thing about our culture. We love beautiful things. We love getting dressed up and being glamorous, and that's definitely how the women in my family were. And I looked up to that, and that was for me something that was very aspiring, and I couldn't wait to grow up and, you know, get dressed up and wear red lipstick. And it sounds very stereotypical, but for me it was very aspirational. One of the stereotypes that I think is true is that Hispanic moms are incredible. I'm gonna agree with that. I think, I don't know if it's cultural, like we're just very hands-on, and I loved my very Puerto Rican mom. She's the best, in my opinion. Obviously, she's the only experience and perspective I have, but I would say that's true. Latin women know how to cook, they know how to dance, like we have hips, we're curvy. That's true, on my part. So for my family personally, we always celebrated curvaceous Latina bodies. The women have very tiny waists and nice hips. I say that my father gave me my Ecuadorian face and my mother gave me my Puerto Rican body. We also have really thin legs, so growing up they would say my mom looked like a pollo on sticks when she was pregnant with us, because she was like bigger on top and then like her little sticks on the bottom. But growing up Latina, we really celebrated having curvaceous bodies, and when I was a teenager, I was like, oh, I'm so skinny, and people used to make fun of the fact that I had like really skinny chicken legs, and I couldn't wait to have a more curvaceous body because that's what was, you know, loved in my culture, to have like a super Jessica Rabbit type body, Edie Chacon moments. Comment below if you know who Edie Chacon is. Jennifer Lopez, the big booty. And I was like, man, I'm so skinny. And then I hit 30. And then everything my mother told me about appreciating my teenage body became real to me. I was like, man, why didn't I appreciate, you know, what I had then. Even though I'm now loving being curvy, I think I still celebrate the fact that I am very Latina, very curvaceous. Again, Latinas come in all different shapes and sizes. I think that in itself is a huge stereotype that we need to completely come against, which is, what does Latina look like? I've met Latinas that are Afro-Latinas. There are blonde-haired, blue-eyed Latinas. There are Latinas that look like me. There are Latinas that look like my sister, who has been told like they thought she was French or Persian. I am Puerto Rican and Ecuadorian. Those are two completely different cultures. The way they speak their Spanish is different. The foods are different. When I first moved to LA, I thought this was pretty crazy. I was walking through the Beverly Center and these guys would like low-key catcall me like, yo, ma. And I would turn around and the first thing they asked me was, what you mixed with? That was an first, you don't want to know my name? I thought that was weird to begin with, but then I explained to them, I was like, oh, I'm Puerto Rican and Ecuadorian. They're like, yo, that's what's up. So you Mexican? No, my mom's Puerto Rican, my dad's Ecuadorian. Yeah, but y'all speak Mexican, nah? We speak Spanish. That's what's up, yo. Mexican girls are mad pretty. What? Where is? I love Mexican culture, love Mexican food, love Mexican music. Shout out to Selena and so many others, Jenny Rivera. But it is a completely different culture, and I think it's so cool that we can all represent being a part of the Latin race, the Hispanic race. Que viva la raza. But I love that at the same time we all have different cultures and different foods, different dialects, and I love that, and I think that's absolutely beautiful. So I want to talk about the food. Puerto Rican food, Ecuadorian food. I told you guys before, I freaking love cuchifrito food, which is, alcapurrias, relleno de papa. I love a good jugo de coco. Pastelillos are my favorite ever, which like you guys, I think other Latinos would call them empanadas, but in reality, we would call them pastelillos, Puerto Ricans. And then on my Ecuadorian side, wow, salchipapa, bomb, morocho. Tell me if you guys know. Do I have any Ecuadorian fans? Comment below if you know what I'm talking about. Morocho's bomb. Growing up, I remember during the night times going to like the plazas or like the centros in Manta, and they'd sell it on the streets. I also love corn. My dad makes the most bomb ceviche ever. Now that I'm vegan, we gotta find a vegan version of ceviche because my dad makes the best ceviche. And of course, on my mom's side, pasteles, pernil. The food is incredible. Being Latina and being able to eat all different kinds of Latin food is my favorite. I have to say that one of the best moments in my career was landing the cover of Latina magazine. And so many people asked me like why that meant so much to me. And I literally got super emo trying to answer it, and I'm not gonna get emo right now because my lashes are on and they're cute. But if you're Latina, there's this, I can't even begin to explain the pride that I feel and the love that I have for my people and my culture. There's literally no words, but like literally if I meet someone and I find out they're Latino, I like feel that we're like long lost cousins in some way, shape, or form. It's like when I did my episode with Dulce Candy. You just recognize how much you have in common, even if you're from different countries. The language alone unites us. And if you're Latina and you're watching this and you've ever either been ashamed or embarrassed, like I want you to know with your whole entire heart that you are incredible because you're Latina and because of so many other things that make you who you are. But embrace your culture, learn about it, use it to help you in everything that you do. I find that being Latina has really helped me in my career because it paved a lane for me. And it really allowed me to represent what I necessarily didn't have on TV growing up. It makes me really proud that this next generation gets to see diversity on TV and feels that they're represented. So if you've ever doubted your pride for being Latina, put your hand over your heart and say to yourself, yo soy Latina, pa que tú lo sepa, and feel all the pride that comes with our culture and the richness of it. Keep your head up, speak your language. You have the right to do that. I love our language. I think it's something that, again, like I said, unites us all. And I want you guys to know that when I have my children, they absolutely will speak Spanish. That is something that Israel and I have spoken about and how important it is that our kids carry that on. So I hope you guys enjoyed hearing a little bit about my cultura, how I grew up, my childhood, and my experience being Latina. I can't wait to hear from you guys. Comment below, tell me what your childhood was like growing up, whatever race you are, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you guys next week. Besitos.